sociable Indian. If you love book recommendations, you want to know about latest book releases, crime, thriller, romance, fiction, supernatural, gothic, horror, this is the perfect place. Do subscribe and support us. I've been meaning to do a video like this for a really long time, and finally, this is it. So, if you want to support us, do subscribe and like our videos. So in today's videos, I'm going to talk about an extremely popular American classic, The Little Women, written by Louisa May Alcott, which has been written almost 150 years ago and yet has sold like millions of copies worldwide. So what is the secret behind this enormous success of Alcott? Watch to find out more. Louisa May Alcott was born in extreme poverty, so she had to work really hard to make herself afloat. What she did was she just wrote this brilliant series of novels which made her instantly famous and earned her millions. Coming to the plot, The Little Women is really about the March family and their 4 daughters, Meg, Jo, Beth and Amy, and this family is situated right in the middle of the American Civil War. So what Louisa May Alcott does is take up lots of autobiographical instances from her own life and modify them, improve upon them and write a brilliant story. So this is a coming of age novel, which means that it is placed in the threshold between adulthood and childhood. So it is at the same time innocent and at the same time it knows that the innocence isn't gonna last. So that is actually the sparkling quality of the text, that you will become mesmerized at how easy it is to read and how profound the ideas are. So what's your favorite literary character? Jo? It's Jo, right? Jo. Everyone's favorite character is Jo. Because Jo is essentially Louisa May Alcott's author surrogate, which means that Louisa May Alcott has represented herself in Jo in the novel. Jo is extremely spunky, extremely sporty, and she is the person who questions the rigidity and the orthodoxy of the patriarchal system in the 1860s. In the 1860s, the women were kept in extremely compartmentalized boxes. They were supposed to be almost like social ornaments. And Jo is the person, just like us, the readers, Jo is extremely clueless, and that therefore we can easily connect with Jo because just like us, she wants to ask so many questions. My other favorite character is definitely Marmee, because Marmee is like a feminist beacon which shines over all her girls, and she is like a true matriarch, which was an extremely rare phenomenon in the literature of the 1800s. So, since the story is autobiographical, there isn't much of a plot. It's mostly like the growth of the 4 sisters into adulthood as they become more adept to the society and they choose on the various parts of their lives. They pick on their own ambitions. They are not just ordinary women from the 1800s, they are women with ambitions. They are women who want to make a change in the world, and you'll see that eventually they do so. They do make a change. At least for the 1800s, that was an amazing change. Now I'm gonna jump right into 3 things I loved about the books and 2 things I didn't really like. So the 3 things I loved are, number 1, the narrative structure. The narrative structure is so delightful. It has this quality that you almost feel it inside your mouth and it feels so delicious. It's like every time Jo and her family goes into picnics, into ball dances, into various other fun and frolic, you feel like you're present there with them. The narrative is not at all slow paced. It just moves along. It has an extreme amount of motion. There will be no page where you will be feeling bored or like monotonous, because these 4 girls, along with their handsome and dashing neighbor Laurie, they just keep on moving from one event to next in such a fast pace. That what I think is truly amazing about the book, that it is continuously in motion and not even like a jarred motion. It's a smooth flow. You can get along with it and yet not feel like you're left out from the novel at all. The next thing I liked about the novel is the relationship, the romance, the love, the friendship, whatever you call it, between Jo and Laurie. I was, while growing up, I was kind of a lonely kid, and Joe and Laurie's friendship, it gave me such a brilliant hope. It's like a sunshine over the entire book. That is basically the reason why I loved Little Women so much. The March sisters, they practically became like my family. I mean, whenever I see the amazing bond between them, it is so believable, so relatable, and at the same time has such a fictitious quality that, you can walk into it and just stay inside there forever. So it's often said that this book promotes escapism because it was written during the wars. The people were kind of trying to run away from the reality, but at the same time embrace the reality. So it is fictional, but yet it's extremely poignant and real. The third thing I loved about the movie is the illustration. The illustration on the cover, because it has this picture of the four girls huddled together in a close-knit symbolism of warmth. And that is an extremely feminist symbol, because we know, as we all know, that brotherhood is a sort of a way that patriarchy keeps telling you that men are always backslapping each other and they never talk about sisterhood. But when you read this book, you realize that such a relationship, such a filial relationship between sisters, it is so strong that, it is the perfect example that women will always be there behind each other. I love this quality of the book, that it shows that women can coexist peacefully, happily, without the need of a man always interfering in their lives, and still be extremely supportive of each other. It is not at all the cat fight that we are so accustomed to seeing in so many, popular culture. Two things I hated about the novel. One of the things is the sequels. I definitely hated the sequels. It is such a turn off when a good book has terrible sequels. And the next part of this Little Women, The Good Wives, it becomes an extremely anti-feminist text for me, because all of them are married off, and this marriage is not really natural. It is not that organic. It is like a forced decision. So the truth is that Louisa May Alcott wasn't really interested in writing this novel, and her publisher Thomas Nile kind of coerced her into it by giving her lots of money. So Louisa May Alcott wanted Jo to remain a literary spinster like herself, to write and to make money and not marry, just like she did, because it was kind of modeled on her own life. But her editor was hell-bent on marrying off all the girls, because it was literally like, if you don't marry off the girls, your novel will not be published and it will not become famous. So she was forced to marry her off, and so she did. So she literally had to marry all the girls off and give it an extremely domestic and happy and extremely boring ending, sprinkled with lots of patriarchy, because why not? It is still the 1800s. And the last thing I hated about the novel is, in parts, it becomes extremely anti-feminist. There are several instances where Marmee stops all the four girls from achieving their full potential because she thinks that those are fallacies. One thing you need to know about this novel is that the novel is actually a journey. It is a journey for all the four girls towards completing and towards completing themselves as human beings and towards overcoming their faults. So each of these girls have one fault. Just like Meg has the fault that she is in love with materialistic things, Jo has the fault that she is always angry and resentful and has quick temper, and Amy has the fault that she's vain and she's way too ambitious. Personally, Amy is my favorite. I think Amy is extremely human, and all her actions are so natural, are so human, and are, so logical that she is censored a lot by all the people in the novel, And Beth's fault is that she's extremely timid, extremely docile. She is not going out there and getting herself married. That is her fault. So yeah, in the end, Louisa May Alcott does make all of these girls overcome her faults in such a way that it appears extremely forced, and you probably don't want to read on. But if you haven't read The Little Women, I have no idea what you're waiting for, because I read it in class 6. When did you? 7? Yeah, 7 or 6. And what I can tell about this is, when I read it in class 7, like class 6 or 7, I was blown away. I was so drawn in. I just felt so warm and fuzzy inside. But when I came back to it, like almost 10 years later, a couple of days ago, I read it again. I was still so attracted. It is, the things I noticed when I was in class 6, they are not the same anymore. They have all changed with time, with my perception. The things that the novel is so layered that every time you read it, you come up with a different sort of interpretation, some different sort of interpretations. So yeah, I mean, if you have read it, do give it another read. Tell us which one was your favorite character in the novel, and if you haven't read it, then you have a treat awaiting for you. So that's been my review on The Little Women, and do share, do subscribe, do support us. And if I have to give this a rating out of 5, I give Little Women 4 March Girls, because that's who made my childhood awesome. Which has been written